What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Kings Court podcast, presented to you by SacktownRoyalty.com and sponsored by RateCrushers.com. Everyone go to Rate Crushers if you're looking to get any type of insurance, whether that be motorcycle, car, homeowners, renters. These guys got you covered over at RateCrushers.com, beating up the competition up to 35%. If you guys haven't done so already, and this is the first time you're joining us here on this show, please do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button, as well as hitting that thumbs up button to get the algorithm going and keep getting this show growing bigger and bigger. What a night by the Sacramento Kings as they destroy, and I repeat, they destroy the Brooklyn Nets 153-151 on TNT. Let's hear what De'Aaron Fox had to say after the game.
The NBA, what you guys look like?
Oh, I think it was great. I mean, timeouts are long, so that's when Patty hit that, we messed up one. I think it was the second quarter, opening the second quarter, and we left Patty open. As soon as that shot went, I'm like, I'm about to have another 5-minute timeout. So, but no, I think it was definitely great. I mean, we feel confident as a team that we can play with anybody, and it was great to show that on a national stage.
What do you think about the energy in the building tonight? And just
It was amazing. The energy, I was there yesterday. The energy was amazing.
Whenever you're winning in the city, I think it's a very different feeling. So, for us, we want to continue to put on a show, continue to win, not only for ourselves, but, for this fan base.
Just your thoughts on, thoughts on TV tonight.
Oh, man, he came in and he contributed from the second that he stepped on the floor. Not only with the way that he was making shots, but defensively, rebounding.
TD was awesome.
For us, and
best game since he was in Sacramento.
Shoot the ball this well all the time, but everything else that he did on the floor is stuff that we expect.
Is it hard to be super critical over a game like this that felt so complete?
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like if there was a perfect game, I think it was tonight. It was definitely tonight.
Last one. No letdown. Do you guys get some winnable games coming up, and how much you need to just put this one aside like you did with the losses and move on to the next game?
Oh, well, I mean, we feel like every game is winnable. So regardless of who we're playing, we want to continue to try to play at a high level, continue to try to do the things that we can control. If you're not making shots, then you're not making shots. It's a hit or miss league. But as far as defense and, continue to try to pressure people, continue to try to win the rebound battle, we control. And the outcome, it lays where it may.
That's De'Aaron Fox following the big win, 153-121 against the Brooklyn Nets on TNT here in Sacramento. Man, it was a very fun game from start to finish. Kevin Huerter got the game going with a big three-pointer. A lot of offensive rebounds in that very first possession of the game, and I felt the energy of the crowd right away. They're giving out towels and everything in the middle of the game as well for people to start waving it, and honestly, I've been going to Kings games for a very long time. And I was there with the DeMarcus Cousins and Rudy Gay and Isaiah Thomas, where there was a little bit of belief on that team as well when they were starting to have a little bit of a winning record, similar to this one before, Cousins got sick and the whole thing that happened with Michael Malone. This was bigger than that. This was bigger than those moments with Michael Malone and how that environment felt. The entire atmosphere from how people were talking to each other, fans high-fiving each other, groups. It looked like there was a Liddy squad all over again. The atmosphere has been a lot of fun to see, and it's fun to see that out of fans, especially here in Sacramento for these Kings fans, because, it's always been so bleak. Like everyone always looks at this team and goes, it's the Kangs. It's the Kangs. I feel like after this game, it really put the league on notice of what this team is capable of and what, many hope to see early on after they started struggling, a little bit of a disappointment. And again, that mantra of, it's just Kangs, started forming back up into the heads. But now they're 7-2 out of their last 9 games. They have very winnable games upcoming against the San Antonio Spurs and the Detroit Pistons. But before we look ahead, let's go ahead and look back again at this game. 153-121. It was a big game. once again for Domantas Sabonis, finishing the game with 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists in this one. He also had a steal in that game. Honestly, I was tweeting about it the entire time. He made Nick Claxton look like he had never seen a weight room before. Honestly, Nick Claxton could not hold him down. Ben Simmons could not hold him down. I believe Sabonis set the tone for this team right from the get. He wins the tip ball. After that, it's a missed three-pointer from Keegan Murray, offensive rebound Sabonis. Shot up again by Kevin Huerter, tap out, offensive rebound Harrison Barnes. Just off that very first possession, Sabonis set the tone for this team, and then offensively to get down low, use his position, use that size, and truly bully Nick Claxton down low, bully Ben Simmons down low. They tried doubling him, and they could not contain this man. He was a tank down there. And that was so much fun to see. And again, it shows how this pairing of Fox and Sabonis can work. One that beats you strictly on space and pace speed. The other who can get you a for sure best basket down low because you're going to have to double him. There's not too many people in this league that can guard him one-on-one down there. He is strong and he is really good. Speaking of De'Aaron Fox, we had De'Aaron Fox finishing this game with 14 points, 4 rebounds, and 9 assists. He played only 23 minutes in this game. 23 minutes, he had 14 and 9. Honestly, when they put him back in the third quarter and they were up by 28 points, I was honestly surprised. I thought this was going to be a night off for him. But no, they put him back in the game. They kept the pedal to the metal, and you know what? I was actually happy to see something like that. You want to see a De'Aaron Fox going crazy and not just settling in because they have a big lead. That's what I think Mike Brown has truly brought, is just the mentality of winning and the mentality of being able to get a team moving. And these are highlights of just De'Aaron Fox in general. I didn't get any highlights from last night's game, but just to show you guys just how much Fox has been playing so much better and in his own pace. And honestly, I feel like De'Aaron Fox has been playing with so much confidence, the most confidence we have seen probably since his rookie year, but more so because they're winning. And look, if he continues to play the way that he has been playing, you can't deny the fact that he is going to be an all-star this year. You can't deny that fact he is going to be an all-star this year. He's very vocal offensively. He's calling out plays from the sideline. And again, the one thing that we talked about with Mike Brown, and I always revert back to that offensive seminar that he did just a couple years ago, and we broke that down with Coach Nick here on this show, which is Mike Brown says it takes time to learn the type of offense that he wants to run. He wants his players to be very instinctual with what they're doing as soon as they cross half court. And man, are they getting across half court fast. They're getting across half court when there's still 22 seconds left on the shot clock. That is how fast they're getting up the court. They are keeping their opponents on their heels, and De'Aaron Fox is utilizing that by being able to move downhill if they're not set up, and then also to be able to give the ball to a guy like Sabonis. And there's an argument to be made that the offense runs through Sabonis a majority of the time. When they're moving quick, yeah, the ball's in Fox's hands. Look at that. Look at that nice pass, ball movement, everything like that, right. When it's moving fast, Fox is the one in control. But when they're in that half-court set, the ball goes through Sabonis and these pick and rolls and how they're setting it up. And, man, it is beautiful to see. The guy has glue hands. That pick and roll, you saw that all day yesterday. He just set up big position down low, and no one could stop him. Big game from both Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox. And I want to hear your guys' opinion. You guys are more than welcome to call into the show, get your guys' opinions going, and hear what it is. I want to hear what you guys think, because I want to know if there's a potential chance that we're going to see both of these guys as all-stars. Like, that is a legit possibility if they continue down this trend of what they're doing. Now, of course, they're going to fall into a cold spell. Every team does. Every team falls off here and there. But over the last 2 weeks, Sabonis is averaging 21.6 points, 11.6 rebounds, 6.7 assists, 1 steal, and only 2 turnovers per game. 20 and 11 was 6 assists from your center. and the Kings are playing winning basketball. That's how you get 2 All-Stars in the NBA All-Star game. De'Aaron Fox, obviously over his last 2 weeks, again, 24.7 points, essentially 25 points per game, 4 rebounds, 7.7 assists, 1.7 steals, and the big concern, right, was his turnovers to start the season. A lot of people were worried if he was going to be a turnover-prone player. And look, he's got it down to 2.2 turnovers per game. He's still at 3 turnovers on the season, but with how much they utilize him, I don't see his 3 turnovers as such a big number as it was in the beginning when it was at 5. But it really was just that one game where he had like 8 turnovers. Great shooting night from the both of those guys. And again, I throw the question out to you all. Will the Kings have 2 All-Stars this year? That's a big one. I think that will be very interesting to see. Continuing down this box score here for the Sacramento Kings as they destroy the Brooklyn Nets 153-121 on TNT. Kevin Huerter played 29 minutes, had 19 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists. The guy has been everything that you wanted to see Buddy Hield to be next to De'Aaron Fox. And I think the biggest reason why is because he's an underrated passer, he's a willing passer, and he can handle the basketball. He has a little sauce to him. He really does. And that's fun to watch. When Kevin Huerter is on, he's fun to watch. And I love when he starts getting his little swag going, when he starts making baskets and he starts jogging backwards, his head starts nodding. The guy's in his zone. And he fits perfectly next to De'Aaron Fox. And look, the only thing that I say that's bad about the trade to acquire Kevin Huerter was that they just didn't give up a certain pick. They handcuffed themselves to the Hawks for multiple years to acquire him. But you know what? The trade seems to be working out, and I can't be mad at the deal that they have going on with Kevin Huerter, De'Aaron Fox. And look, the pairing that's going on between Huerter and Sabonis in that pick and roll. Look, it's nice to see a high pick and roll with De'Aaron and Sabonis, right? We saw how great it worked at the end of last season. We're starting to see them pick it back up again here now. But the development of a Huerter-Sabonis pick and roll and how he's capable of throwing the ball down low to Sabonis on the roll, being able to drop it back for a three-pointer, and Huerter's showing that he's not afraid to get contact and go down low. He doesn't do it a lot, but he's not afraid to do it. And now you're also utilizing not just Kevin Huerter, but let's go to Malik Monk, aka Nelly, aka Trend Center in Sacramento. Malik Monk came off the bench 17 minutes, had 15 points and 6 assists. That 6 assists, majority of those came to Sabonis. That pick and roll, Sabonis makes position, gets it, and again, just showed that muscle, showed that shoulder shrug on Nick Claxton. It was gross down there in the paint. He could not be stopped, and Malik Monk did his thing in those 17 minutes. And again, I was happy to see Malik Monk have such a big game when, handing out the the Band-Aids to 5,000 fans just so they can all continue copying what he was doing. I just thought that was funny. I thought that was great to see. Great content. But yeah, great stuff. Continuing down here, let's keep going with the starting lineup because Harrison Barnes has really started to find his own groove here. And I think you can't be mad at what Harrison Barnes has done since probably the first, 9 games. He was really struggling. The first 9-10 games, he has really been struggling, but he's finally become the Harrison Barnes that looks like the music turned on. He finally became the Harrison Barnes that I think a majority of us knew he could be. And again, I bring up the fact that I was on that pregame show and people were asking, like, is it time to bench Harrison Barnes? Should they start looking at KZ Okpala, who did make an appearance during this blowout? Should the Kings look at benching Harrison Barnes? And I continuously stood by the fact that the answer was going to be no. He's going to be your closer. He's going to be your starter. If it was any other player that was struggling on this team, Fox, Sabonis, Huerter, anything like that, there would have been arguments to be made that give him 15 games, give him X amount of games, he'll find his rhythm, he'll find his flow. Harrison Barnes was doing the same thing. He was finding his rhythm in this team, in this system, and in this new role that he has. Before last season, you were seeing Harrison Barnes with the ball in his hands quite a bit, trying to do a lot more playmaking ability, a lot more one-on-one scoring. He hasn't really had to do that too much here on this team, right? He gets to be more of a slasher. He gets to be more of a catch-and-shoot three-point shooter. And he's finally starting to find ways to put the ball on the ground and get to the basket and get some posts. So he's finding his rhythm on this team, and I think you have to give him credit for that. It's been nice to see what Harrison Barnes has been able to do over these last few games during this Kings winning streak, because again, the call for the benching early on in the year, I just felt was a bit too early. Over his last 2 weeks, he is averaging 11.3 points, 5 rebounds, just under 2 steals at 1.9, 1 steal, and 1.3 3-pointers. Again, he's shooting 46% from the field and 90% from the free throw line over these last 2 weeks. That's a great role player. That's exactly what you need. Someone that can shoot the ball, knock down open shots, and honestly, he's a true leader defensively. There's times in that game, and especially yesterday, to take on the task of defending a Kevin Durant and really holding his own. He held his own against Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant did not have a good night. He had a quiet 27. And I think, again, it wasn't just Barnes. I mean, they trapped a lot. They trapped a lot with Kevin Durant. They used the same game plan that they did with Curry, which is, we're going to double you. You're going to have all these other guys beat us. And it worked. But Kevin Durant did finish with 27 and 6. He was 8 for 15 from the field. But again, there were shots there where Barnes showed why he needs to be on the court. He's their best wing defender. It'll be I'm glad that he's starting to find his rhythm and find his role. Again, 21 minutes, he had 16 points. Keegan Murray did go down with the injury. He played 12 minutes. I believe it was back spasms, which is what caused the injury. Oh, man, it's tough to see him go down early. Hopefully it's nothing serious, and he can be back once again for that San Antonio Spurs game, which is a game that I was really hoping to start seeing the Kings probably utilize him in more offensive sets instead of just looking for him to be a catch-and-shoot three-point shooter on the move, where maybe they can run that play where they run that down screen that they were doing in Summer League and start letting him get a rhythm early. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, these are going to open up minutes for guys like Chimezie Metu, for guys like Trey Lyles. And Trey Lyles, look, as much as I'm not a fan of Trey Lyles' game, and I've been adamant about that for quite a while, I think there's too much pump fake in his game, and I feel like Chimezie Metu was the better player to play over him. But now they're playing them together, and it's working. Trey Lyles is not hesitating to shoot the basketball, and those 3-point shots are starting to drop. He took 8 3-pointers yesterday. I don't know if that's something I want to consistently see from him, but again, in a blowout, you can't be mad at the result. He did go 3 from 8 from 3-point range. He was 4 for 13 from the field, but he did finish with 12 points and 5 rebounds. Chimezie Metu, on the other hand, had a struggling night. He played only 15 minutes, had 2 points, 4 rebounds, and a steal. He was 1 for 3, 0 for 1 from 3-point range. Davion Mitchell. All right, so with Davion Mitchell, he's been I think it's very clear he hasn't been the player that most Kings fans were expecting him to be this season. And I'll be one of them to say it was me as well. I did not expect him to have such a minimal role here in Sacramento. I thought maybe you would see him putting up the numbers that maybe Malik Monk was doing, because of just how well he progressed, right? He progressed so well towards the end of last season that you thought he was going to take that next step up. It looks like he's kind of just plateaued at this point. It could just be the role. It could really just be the role. But he did get that chance to be a starter against Miami, and he didn't do much. You can arguably say he got outplayed by Gabe Vincent in that game, which then puts me a question mark on moves that the Kings could still make. Is there moves for the Kings to still make? I think there is. I think there's moves. I got a couple trades that I want to go over, but we got bills to pay. So at the end of the break here, we're going to talk about a few trade ideas for you guys. I want to hear what you guys think on these few trade ideas that I've built. And then on top of that, we're going to continue the conversation on if De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis are going to be all-stars in the Western Conference this year. Not just one, but 2 all-stars in Sacramento. Could this be happening? Maybe. I think there's a strong possibility of that right now. At least right now. It's still way too early. But You gotta be hyped when the Kings are 7-2 over their last 9 games. I'll talk to you guys in 15 seconds after this commercial break from RateCrushers.com. And we're back. Again, I don't need that 15 seconds. Just needed to get a drink of water as well. Shout out to the sponsor, RateCrushers.com, for always sponsoring this show. And if you guys need any type of insurance, renters, motorcycle, car, homeowners, the Rate Crushers has you guys covered, beating up the competition up to 35%. It's free quotes. Give them a call. Go on their website. Give them the information, and they'll make sure that you're getting covered. Stop overpaying for coverages, guys. Look, I have a motorcycle fully insured, two cars fully insured as well, and my house is covered. And I'm telling you this right now, it's on a rate that you cannot beat. I don't even mind telling you, I'm only paying $250 for all of it. Just letting y'all know, these guys got you covered. Go check them out. RateCrushers.com. Let them know that the Kings Court sent you. Look, okay, so I told you guys I wanted to talk about some trades. And some of the trades, they can't even be done until December just because of when certain players sign their new deals and things like that. But there's trades that could be made. And the one, and I think I've talked about it on a couple of other shows, that I have my eyes on and I would love to get your guys' opinion on. So feel free, go ahead and join in the chat section. In there, you can also see that the ability to join and call in onto the show. One of the deals is with the New York Knicks. And the Knicks are a team that is struggling. They did get a big win last night against the Utah Jazz. I believe they are also playing today against the Denver Nuggets, who will be without Nikola Jokic due to the fact that he's out with health and safety protocols. But look, that team is struggling. They've also got a lot of money tied up in cap space. The Kings are still looking for, some defense. And honestly, I think they're still looking for a little bit of upside. And I get it. The contract of the player that I'm going to say to trade for arguably is a bit pricey. I can see why you could say it's a bit pricey. But let's see what you guys think. So the trade I'm putting on the table, Sacramento Kings are going to call over to them. You call over, you offer Harrison Barnes and Davion Mitchell. And in return, so you get off that $17 million a year for Mitchell Robinson. You're getting a nice young point guard, so you don't have to play Derrick Rose as much. I mean, he's already getting 15, 20 minutes a game. So you get now Davion Mitchell, who showed his potential, can be a nice backup to Jalen Brunson. And in return, you ask for Mitchell Robinson, 4 years, $17 million a year. You ask for Cam Reddish, and you ask for a second-round pick. I'm just saying. So just to go over the deal one more time, in case you guys didn't hear it, fully understand it. We're going to offer Harrison Barnes, Davion Mitchell, and in return, you get Mitchell Robinson, Cam Reddish, and a second-round pick. Make that deal happen. I'm just saying, let's make that deal happen. I don't think that's a bad offer. I really don't. Look, you're sure up the defensive end, right? With Mitchell Robinson being able to be a shot blocker down low. I get what the counter is going to be. The counter is going to be Mitchell Robinson's not a good offensive player. He's an injury-prone player. Honestly, he's injured right now, and I get that. I 100% get that. The defensive woes that are Sabonis are still there. I do love that the Kings have been doing a lot more box and one, a lot more 2-3 zones. They've been trying to mix it up a little bit since I called for it on the last show. I called for the Kings to start trying to do what the Blazers do, which is keep the opposing offense unable to predict how they're going to be defended. And they've started to do that. But there's going to be those moments where you're going to need a help side defender. And Mitchell Robinson is such a big body, such a good rebounder. 18, 20 minutes can get you. I mean, honestly, he's like an Andre Drummond. If I'm being 100% honest with you, he's a more athletic Andre Drummond. He can block shots. He's big on boards. The health concerns are real. And I can understand why a lot of you would not like that deal. I think the big one in return, though, is also to get Cam Reddish and that potential out in the wing. So I see that as well. But that's not even my favorite deal. Oh, no. That's not even my favorite deal. Yeah, see, there you go. Look at Johnny. See, that's what I'm saying. I understand what you guys are going to say. It's not a good fit. One probably sits a little too still, just as much as the other one does. So I understand what you're saying. Again, I don't think it's the worst trade in the world. It's something that I would truly consider. If that trade offer is on the table and I'm Monty McNair, and again, I said the Kings are going to call them. Let's say the Knicks call with that same offer. I would truly consider it. To get Cam Reddish, a second-round pick that's from the Knicks, and a good defensive big, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. I really don't. But that's not even my favorite trade. That's not even my favorite trade for the Kings to make. And I don't care what this team says. I really don't care what this team says. This team is lying to you if you think that they're going to just keep trying to win out. Because they're not. The Utah Jazz need to make a move. They're not going to keep winning games. They are not going to keep winning games. That's not going to happen. They're going to need to make trades. They're going to need to clear cap space. They're going to want picks. And you know what? I think giving them cap space is huge. Honestly, I think that the Kings would have to call over to Atlanta and give them a pick. Like, you wouldn't be able to wait any longer on the pick. That you would have to give them the 2024 automatic, right, for Kevin Huerter. So here's the deal. You call over to Utah and you say, Utah, you know you want picks. You know you're trying to clear up some cap space, have some money. I got an offer for you. You do Harrison Barnes, expiring. Let's make sure I can pull this up. You know what? I'm going to do this on Fanspo right now with you guys. So we're going to go Harrison Barnes, $18.3 million. He's on the final year of his deal. Right? Trade him to the Jazz. You're also going to give up Davion Mitchell. You got to give up young talent. To receive talent, you got to give up talent. And I think the Kings have shown that they have enough ball handlers now with Monk and Huerter that they're okay giving that up. You go to picks, like I said, you're going to have to give up a 2026, potentially a 2023 day of draft day. That'll be a hush-hush under the table deal. But in return, you get a Lauri Markkanen and a Nickeil Alexander-Walker. That trade's successful. So again, the trade would be Harrison Barnes, Davion Mitchell, and a first-round pick. And in return, they get off the 3-year, $16.4 million that is Lauri Markkanen. They get a Kings first-round pick. And then the Kings also get Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So another shooting guard, small forward. He's 6'6". He plays that tweener role. But you get defense. You get a shooter that you can put there next to Sabonis, who showed that he can play next to another big when Markkanen was a part of that trio of trees out in Cleveland last season. He could rebound. And look, Markkanen has been stellar this season. He's been really good. And again, the Jazz are not going to keep looking to win games, guys. I don't care what the GM comes out and says. You have to say that. You can't say that you're going to start tanking. This team is going to start tanking. They're going to tank for Wembanyama. They have no true building block. Jordan Clarkson, Lauri Markkanen, Colin Sexton, none of these guys are franchise changers. They're just not. So what do you do when you're at that moment? You gotta find ways to clear cap space and acquire picks. And I think that makes sense. So again, Harrison Barnes, Davion Mitchell, and a first-round pick, maybe two. But I wouldn't do two. I would just do one. One first-round pick is Lauri Markkanen. Because you're giving Kings or the Jazz $18.3 million in free cap space for next offseason. So you gave Davion, Barnes, and a first-round pick. In return, you get Lauri Markkanen and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who I think has just been overlooked since being there. He doesn't get too many minutes, but is still such a really good player. Let's see what Johnny says here. Johnny has thrown a trade into the chat. He says, Davion Mitchell, Rashawn Holmes, and a 2023 first-round pick for OG Anunoby. I really just don't think that the Raptors are ready to give up on OG. I really don't. I mean, if any of the players in Toronto are going to be traded, and I get a lot of hate from the Toronto people on the basketball zone over there. Like when I go over there and I talk about Toronto, I always say it's time to move on from Pascal Siakam. The age situation, everything. I always think it's time for them to move on. But that's just me. I just don't think Toronto would move on from a young, up-and-coming, really good small forward in OG Anunoby. Maybe he's not a franchise setter player, and I do see how he would fit in Sacramento. I'll say this. If there was any deal to get it done, that's not the one. They would want much more than just Davion and Rashawn Holmes. That has been my time, guys. Unfortunately, we didn't get to continue the conversation of the De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis both being all-stars. But you know what? We will continue that on the next show. That next show will most likely be, it could be on Friday, but it's most likely going to be on Monday. I am going to have a guest on that show. I'm working out the kinks of it now. It's going to be a lot of fun doing stuff like that. Again, we are going to be trying to give away more tickets on the show, but the only way we do so is if we get our subscription level up. We're trying to get to 400 subscribers to give out our next batch of tickets. However, I do believe heading into Black Friday, which is this next show, we will be giving out tickets to a game in the future. So be sure to, if you haven't done so already, to hit subscribe on this show. Hit that thumbs up button. Tell your friends about me, so that we can start giving out these tickets to these Kings games. Let me know down in the comment section if you agree or disagree with any of these trades. If you have trade ideas, I love going over trades. Put that down in the comment section below. We can talk about that more on the next show as well. I'll dedicate a full segment to just trade ideas. NBA Best Bets starts next week as well here on this channel. That show is now going to be presented to you by DraftKings.com. That's right, guys. DraftKings is now partnering up with NBA Best Bets. So if you guys like making picks and things like that, be sure to stay tuned onto that show. NBA Best Bets is back next week. Skip! What up, Skip? Nah, man. Yeah, you keep missing. The show starts, again, I try to start the show around the same exact time, 12:45, 1 o'clock. Every single time I do the show, it gives people the afternoon. They're going on lunch break to start watching the show, and it gives great time heading into the next games. But Skip, you keep missing it. I keep missing you here on the show, man. The conversations that we have are always so great. It's nice seeing you down in the chat. Again, guys, if you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. Be sure to bookmark the site, SacTownRoyalty.com, for all of your in-depth coverage of the Sacramento Kings. We got stuff brewing for this show too. We're working on stuff behind the scenes for great content that we're going to be providing for you guys here on this channel. Check out the sponsors, RateCrushers.com, if you guys are looking for any type of coverage. They're beating up competition up to 35%. Guys, they got you covered. Are the Kings going to have 2 All-Stars this year? Are they going to have 2 All-Stars this year? That's potential. How are they going to look in these next 10 games? Are they still winning? Because look, they put the national media on notice. They put their team on notice after that 153-121 win against the Brooklyn Nets on TNT. I love the energy, guys. I love the people that noticed me at the game. Shout out to y'all. That's going to be my time, guys. And until next time, Sacramento Kings fans, peace.